This is Kolkata, once the most powerful city in Asia, the second city of the British Empire, the city where Tagore wrote, where Bose fought, where Ramakrishna preached, where Mother Teresa served, the birthplace of Indian cinema, Indian journalism, the Indian National Congress, and the Indian Renaissance. In 1947, when India became independent, Calcutta was India's undisputed one city, the largest, the richest, the most industrialized, the intellectual and cultural capital of an entire subcontinent. Then something happened. Something that economists call the most dramatic urban economic collapse in post-independence India. New town highway sign, half-built flyovers. In 1960, West Bengal's GDP per capita ranked #1 in India. By 2019, it ranked #23. Its share of India's industrial output, 24% in 1947, 5% by 1998, a 79% collapse in 51 years. While Bangalore created 68 unicorns, Kolkata created 4. While Mumbai raised 1 lakh rupee crore in startup funding, Kolkata's entire startup ecosystem had fewer than 800 registered startups. The city that was India's future became a city living in its own past. This is not a story about a city that failed. This is a story about a city that was failed. And whether it is too late to be saved. To understand what Kolkata lost, you must first understand what it had. And what it had was extraordinary. From 1858 to 1911, Calcutta was the capital of the entire British Indian Empire. Not just a city, an imperial headquarters. The port of Calcutta was one of the busiest in the world. Jute from Bengal, tea from Assam, coal from Jharkhand, all flowed through Calcutta to global markets. The city built India's first, gives railway network 1854, from Howrah, gives High Court 1862, gives National Library 1836, gives University 1857, University of Calcutta, gives Stock Exchange Calcutta Stock Exchange 1908, gives Metro Railway in India 1984, Kolkata Metro, Bengal's intellectual class, the Bhadralok, produced Rabindranath Tagore, Swami Vivekananda, Subhash Chandra Bose, Satyajit Ray, Amartya Sen. This was not a regional culture. This was India's cultural engine. By the time of independence in 1947, West Bengal produced 24% of India's entire industrial output. Jute mills, steel, heavy engineering, textiles. The Tata Group, the Birla Group, ITC, Exide, all had their roots in Calcutta. ITC, one of India's largest conglomerates, is still headquartered in Kolkata. Burger Paints, Emami, Britannia Industries. These are Kolkata companies, still alive, still contributing. This was the baseline. #1 GDP per capita, 24% industrial share, imperial capital. India's most important city. What happened next is one of the most important case studies in what not to do when you inherit a powerful city. The decline of Kolkata did not happen overnight. It happened in 3 distinct waves. Wave 1, the partition-bound 1947, 15th August 1947. Independence. India is free. Bengal is divided. The partition of Bengal was an economic catastrophe for Calcutta that nobody fully explains. Before 1947, Calcutta's economic hinterland included gives the jute-growing regions of East Bengal, now Bangladesh, tea, gives the rice belts of Eastern Bengal, gives trade routes through what became East Pakistan, gives a unified market of 80 million people. After partition, all of this was cut off overnight. The jute mills of Calcutta suddenly had no jute supply. The trade routes were severed. The market shrank by 40% in one stroke. Then came 10 million refugees from East Pakistan, overwhelming a city that had no infrastructure to absorb them. The 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War added another wave. Calcutta absorbed the trauma of an entire region's displacement. While Mumbai and Madras looked west and south for growth, Calcutta was looking east and finding a closed border. AV2, the Freight Equalization Policy, the invisible killer. This is the policy decision that most Indians have never heard of, but which may have done more damage to Kolkata than anything else. In the 1950s, the central government introduced the Freight Equalization Policy. What it did? It equalized freight costs for raw materials across all of India, regardless of where they were located. This sounds fair. It was devastating for Kolkata. Before the policy, Kolkata's proximity to coal, iron, and jute gave it a massive cost advantage for industry. Industries clustered in Kolkata because it was cheap to source raw materials. After the policy, that advantage was eliminated. Suddenly, a factory in Mumbai or Pune could get the same coal at the same price as one in Kolkata. Industries had no reason to stay in Kolkata specifically, and every reason to move to Mumbai, Pune, Chennai, which had better ports, better weather, less political trouble. This single policy decision, taken in Delhi, stripped Kolkata of its structural economic advantage. Wave 3, 34 years of the Left Front 1977 to 2011. In 1977, the Left Front won the West Bengal elections. They would remain in power for 34 unbroken years, the longest-running democratically elected communist government in world history. Their ideology, workers first, industrialists second. Their tools, trade unions, strikes, political interference in factory management. Under the Left Front, major industries in West Bengal declined by approximately 60%. Engineering firms, jute mills, textile units, one by one they packed up and moved. The union leader's veto was more powerful than the CEO's vision. If a company wanted to introduce new machinery, the union called a strike. If a company wanted to reduce its workforce, the union called a strike. If a company wanted to open a new facility, paperwork took years. If the paperwork cleared, another strike was called. In 2008, Ratan Tata chose Singur, West Bengal, to build the Tata Nano factory. The people's car, 1 lakh rupee, India's dream automobile. 1,800 crore rupees was invested. The plant was 80% complete. Then Mamata Banerjee, then opposition, launched a political agitation. Land acquisition protests, demonstrations, obstruction. Ratan Tata gave the West Bengal government a deadline. The deadline was missed. Tata walked out. Moved the entire project to Gujarat in 10 days. Gujarat gave him land, infrastructure, a welcome. West Bengal gave him a lesson about what it had become. That nano moment became a metaphor for everything wrong with West Bengal's relationship with investment. Gives 1960, hashtag 1 GDP per capita in India, gives 1985, hashtag 12, gives 2005, hashtag 20, gives 2019, hashtag 23. Gopal Krishna Gokhale had once said, "What Bengal thinks today, India thinks tomorrow." By 2019, a researcher rephrased it, "What India thinks today, Bengal thinks tomorrow, if it thinks at all." The brain drain catastrophe. Here is what TI Kolkata's chairman said, and this is a direct quote from INC 42's verified reporting. Years of government discouragement for new businesses has tainted the state's attitude towards entrepreneurship. This negative perception towards entrepreneurs has led to young people drifting away from the state in search of better opportunities. Walk into any major startup in Bangalore, in any major investment bank in Mumbai, in any tech company in Hyderabad. Count the number of Bengalis. They are everywhere, I and other cities. The talent that should have built Kolkata's startup ecosystem is building everyone else's. IIT Kharagpur, one of India's finest institutions, sits in West Bengal. Its graduates overwhelmingly leave the state. Kolkata, 800 registered startups. Bangalore, 12,000 plus. That gap is not about talent. That gap is about what was done to the environment that talent needs to survive.
"16 external and 9 internal injury marks. These are among findings of the post-mortem report of the junior doctor who was raped and murdered at Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College and Hospital. report was signed by Apurva Biswas, Professor in Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology at RG Kar Medical College, Reena Das, Associate Professor in Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology, again from RG Kar Medical College.
In August 2024, an event shook Kolkata, and it shook the rest of India's opinion of West Bengal's governance. What happened? The facts. 9th August 2024. A young doctor, a postgraduate trainee, was found murdered inside RG Kar Medical College and Hospital, Kolkata. The case triggered, gives nationwide protests by the medical community, gives the Indian Medical Association called a national strike, gives non-emergency services suspended across India's hospitals, gives the Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance on 18th August, gives 25,000 doctors were absent from hospitals at peak protest, gives CBI was ordered to probe the case, gives the hospital's ex-principal was arrested for corruption and evidence tampering. What turned a criminal case into a governance crisis was what came after. Gives a registered FIR was filed with suspicious delay. Gives the crime scene was allegedly vandalized hours after the incident. Gives the ex-principal was later arrested on separate charges of financial fraud. Gives a police officer was also arrested for evidence destruction. The Supreme Court in September 2024 stated directly the bench expressed concern over the virtual absence of safe working conditions for doctors in public hospitals. Medical researchers writing in the current Medicine Research and Practice Journal observed, merit, achievements in patient care, teaching, research are generally disregarded in West Bengal's public healthcare system. The only thing that matters is paying undignified obeisance to politicians, bureaucrats, and institutional heads. This was not an isolated crime. It was a symptom of what happens when institutional accountability is replaced by political patronage for long enough. The RG Kar moment was not just a social crisis. It was an investment signal. When a city's governance is this visibly dysfunctional on the world stage, with Supreme Court intervention, it reinforces every investor's hesitation about West Bengal. It told the boardrooms of India, the problems in Kolkata are not historical. They are present tense. Here is the question at the heart of this file. Is Kolkata's decline permanent? Or is there a credible path back? The honest answer is both sides have real data. The case for hope. ASET 1, Geography Zones. Kolkata is the gateway to 500 million people. The entire Northeast India, 8 states, flows through Kolkata. Bangladesh shares a border. Myanmar, Southeast Asia, the Bay of Bengal. No other Indian city is positioned like this for the next era of ASEAN trade and connectivity. ASET 2, Port Infrastructure. Kolkata Port handled 65.66 million tons in 2022 to 2023, a 12.86% increase year-on-year. Haldia Dock Complex is India's first certified green port. As global trade shifts east, Kolkata's port becomes relevant again. ASET 3, Education Infrastructure के IIT Kharagpur, IIM Calcutta, Jadavpur University, Presidency College, National Law University. Kolkata has world-class institutions producing world-class talent. The problem has never been talent production. The problem has been talent retention. ASET 4, Cost Advantage Guarantee. Office rentals in Kolkata are 40 to 50% cheaper than Bangalore. Talent costs are 30% lower. For companies expanding east, Kolkata is the most cost-effective TIER, one metro in India. ASET 5, Cultural Economy. Kolkata's creative economy, film, literature, fashion. Durga Puja, now UNESCO recognized, generates significant Bunno tourism and creative industry revenue. The Durga Puja festival alone generates an estimated 50,000 crore rupees. That number is growing every year. The government's bait, New Town. The West Bengal government has staked its revival on New Town, a planned smart city. 30 kilometers from central Kolkata, IT parks, startup incubators, wide roads, metro connectivity. Major companies present, TCS, Infosys, IBM, Wipro, have campuses. The Silicon Valley Tech Hub, a state government initiative, provides infrastructure and incentives for IT companies. Startup Bengal, 23 acceleration centers launched statewide. IIM Calcutta's Innovation Park mentors early stage founders. This is real, and it is growing. The case for caution. But the data also demands honesty about what has not changed. Gives West Bengal still ranks 28th in HTI, below the national average. Gives the startup Bengal ecosystem is nascent, 800 startups versus Bangalore's 12,000. Gives political violence around elections remains a persistent concern. Gives the governance failure exposed by RG Kar has not been structurally addressed. Gives land acquisition laws, historically a major barrier, remain complex. Gives trade union culture, while less aggressive than the left front era, still creates uncertainty for manufacturers. And the most important structural problem, gives the talent that left is not coming back in large numbers. The network effects of Bangalore and Mumbai are too strong. Building a startup ecosystem from scratch in 2025 is exponentially harder than it would have been in 2005. The 4 POINT framework for Kolkata's revival. Based on what cities that reversed decline did, Detroit, Liverpool, Singapore, gives Fix 1 BT, O in geography, become India's ASEAN trade gateway. The Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal BIM corridor passes through Bengal. Kolkata should be the headquarters of India's Look East policy. Every rupee of ASEAN trade that flows through Northeast India should touch Kolkata first. Gives a Fix 2, build the talent bridge. Create a return to Bengal program for NRB's non-resident Bengalis. Tax, holidays, equity incentives, fast-tracked land allocation. The talent is in Bangalore and Mumbai. It has not forgotten its roots. Give it a reason to bring those roots home. Gives IFIX3, governance reform, non-negotiable. No city can attract investment when its governance makes headlines in the Supreme Court. Independent municipal administration, fast-track commercial courts, zero tolerance for political interference in industrial land acquisition. Gives IFIX4, Durga Puja as economic lever. UNESCO recognition of Durga Puja is an underutilized asset. 50,000 crore rupees festival economy growing. Creative industries, film, fashion, music, literature. Kolkata should be India's answer to Vienna and Istanbul, a city where culture is the economy. Let me tell you what the data says about Kolkata. Not the political version, not the nostalgic version, just the data. In 1947, Kolkata was India's most important city. In 2024, it is India's third richest city by GDP. That is not nothing. That is still a formidable city. Home to ITC, Britannia, Exide Berger Paints, a port that moves 65 million tons, an educational infrastructure that produces world-class minds, a cultural economy anchored by UNESCO-recognized traditions, a geographic position that is uniquely suited for the next century of Asian trade. The painful truth, but here is what those assets are doing. The talent is in Bangalore. The investment is in Hyderabad. The industry is in Gujarat. The finance is in Mumbai. Kolkata is the city that produced the inputs for India's growth and exports them to every other city. The question for Kolkata in 2026 and beyond is the decline of historically great city ever truly reversible? Or has too much time passed? Too much talent left? Too much investment gone elsewhere? Has the window closed? Or is it still open? The city of Tagore and Bose and Vivekananda and Sen deserves a better answer than this video can provide. Because the answer depends entirely on choices that have not yet been made. By leaders who have not yet been elected. By entrepreneurs who have not yet returned. By investors who have not yet committed. Kolkata's story is not over. But it is waiting with diminishing patience for someone to write its next chapter. Drop in the comments. What do you think can save Kolkata? Or is it already too late? Like, subscribe, think deeper, stay invalid. The next file is coming.